Hello and welcome to another very interesting episode of Winds of Change Education. In this COVID series, I am interviewing people who are actually directly involved with COVID situations. Today, I brought a doctor and a person who was there inside the ICU. When we talk of COVID patients, we usually talk of doctors, but there are many branches. It is the medicine department who is bearing the whole brunt of it. It is those PGs, day in and out, they are spending in those ICUs and COVID wards. Others are pitching in, but the main onus lies on these patients, these PGs. Today, I have with me a dynamic young man who has completed his MBBS, doing his PG, writing a lot of research articles, writing chapters in books, presenting papers, and at the same time, taking care of patients. Welcome, Dr. Dhruv Talwar. So, Dr. Talwar, the first thing that I'll be asking you is that why did you want to become a doctor?
Ever since I have realized what a profession is, the only profession I've witnessed was being a doctor. My father is a doctor, my mother is a doctor, even my elder sister, she is a doctor. So, to be really honest, I never knew that there is some other profession in this world. For me, there was a profession, and I always saw my dad treating patients. I always saw the respect he used to get, and that is what actually kind of drove me towards being a doctor.
Okay. So you were filled with doctors, and then you felt that this is one profession where people get a lot of respect, and you did. But why PG in medicine?
For me, being a doctor is mainly treating patients. There are other branches. There are branches like radiology, where you sit behind a computer, you give reports. There are great branches like pathology, where you make diagnosis. But for me, the real thing about being a doctor, which I actually like, is able to communicate with patients. You treat the patients, you see the symptoms, and then you guess what the disease is. So, for me, medicine was the branch that I wanted to do. It was my dream branch.
So, you entered the field of medicine. Did you ever dream that you will be faced with such a pandemic situation? It's a once in a lifetime situation. Did you ever dream that such a situation will come in your PG years?
Actually, never. I never thought that I'll be battling infectious disease on the front line while entering my residency. Of course, we know that we'll be working hard, we'll be putting in hours, unlimited number of hours, but then we never thought that we'll be battling an infectious disease, wearing PPEs, not being able to go and meet our relatives or our family for so many months at a stretch because of the lockdown restriction. So it was something which was unexpected, and even I didn't know that I could do something like this. Like I can also participate in such a big phenomena like a pandemic and help in that pandemic.
So it was both a frightening and a learning experience for you. You never thought that such a situation will come, but when the situation came, you started working, and you never looked back after that, because this is something which you can tell your juniors down the line that yes, I have worked. Now, let me take you a year back, March 2020. When you started hearing about the pandemic, what was your initial thoughts on that?
First time I actually heard about COVID-19 was when I was doing my ICU duty, and one of the patients reported with a pneumonia, and one of our consultants were suspecting COVID-19. So that is when I actually searched what is COVID-19, because during the residency you don't have time to actually know what's going on in the world. So that is the first time I actually heard the term COVID-19, and I never realized that it will actually come to my town, it will come to my hospital, it will come to the very ICU I'm standing in. So it was a very unexpected turn of events, and I just cannot imagine that, yeah, this pandemic actually reached my hospital.
Because first it was in the metros.
Definitely, it was in the big cities, big like Delhi, Mumbai, Pune. You never think that a city like Varda will get a disease which is said to be started in China. So it has like my guide always says, it transferred from Wuhan to Varda.
March, you were not very sure that whether this disease will come and whether we will get such patient. It is going on in the metro. Over the month, now your hospital was one of the COVID hospitals. Over the month, how did your perception of the disease change?
Initially, we did not know the extent of the disease. We did not know how severe COVID-19 can be. We were obviously hearing about the severe pneumonia it was causing, but then there were so many other manifestations like stroke, like myocardial infarction. It started affecting each and every organ system in our body. So perception of COVID-19 changed during the times from pneumonia or to life-threatening conditions such as a subarachnoid hemorrhage or stroke or myocardial infarction. So it was starting for us.
So, do you remember the first day when you were asked to go and report for duty? What were your thoughts that were going on? Like, what were you feeling at that time? Because when you first got the duty, it was a relatively new disease at that time. When did you first do your duty, COVID duty?
In May of 2020, I was posted in the isolation ward in our hospital. It was the first time I was donning a PPE, and I was unexpectedly, I never thought that I'll be nervous, but yeah, while wearing the PPE, I was nervous. Like I did not want to miss out on something. I did not want to leave a gap on the PPE for the virus to enter. That is when I realized that okay, I do get nervous while people do get nervous while wearing PPE because of your own safety. Actually, you know that you're exposed to the virus, so you have to take all the precautions while wearing the PPE so that you don't infect yourself.
So, first, see, this is so important for everyone to note that when no one else knew anything about the disease, it was ravaging everyone. There were lots of deaths being reported. And when it came to your hospital, you were given the duty. You didn't run away saying that, okay, I will not do it. You all took it upon yourself, went ahead. Yes, you all were nervous. You're human being at the end of the day. So, although you are a doctor, you're committed to this profession, but that nervousness will definitely remain because the PPE kit is supposed to protect you. So when you are wearing that PPE kit somewhere down, you know that I need to keep myself safe to serve others. So that fear will definitely be there. And definitely when you were telling your people back home, your parents, that I am going into this duty, they being doctors will not tell you don't go, but being parents, they will definitely be frightened for you. They will always be praying for your safety and praying that you can do your duty well. So it is a very, very tough situation that was going on at those times. Now tell me, what are those skills which helped you in doing your COVID duty?
I think the skill which helped me the most in my COVID duty is definitely communication skill.
Okay.
Because 70 to 80% of COVID-19 is about anxiety. Every patient who was being infected with COVID-19, especially during the first wave, they knew everything about COVID-19 from news channels. So they thought that getting COVID-19 is basically death sentence. If I have COVID, for sure. So when you go inside, your aim is to calm down, calm the patient down, talk to him, communicate well, inform him about the disease well, so that he doesn't get really anxious. Because many patients get more breathless because of their anxiety in our ICU. That is what we have observed.
Mm.
And when we actually started talking to them and we gave them motivation, they actually recovered.
Hmm. Yeah, because the way facts are presented, the way this is, I think so. I don't know, world media projects it in this way, but I have seen here the media highlights the negative aspect so much that the positive is overlooked. Even if there's out of 100, if two people die, that two deaths or four deaths or six deaths are highlighted in such a manner that they forget that rest 90 plus people have recovered. They don't talk about that percentage of people who are recovering. Yes, that is there. And when you get that disease, obviously anxiety is one of the very major thing that plays in your mind, that whether I'll be able to get back from this disease, whether I'll survive or not. So yes, you all had to do a major counseling and making sure that they are not anxious, and then go about the treatment. Doctors, it's not about only the medicine part. There is the mental health part of the patient that you need to take care, and that needs to be taken care along with the medicines that you're giving, or the other things that are needed that you all are providing. But that very fact that you can explain to them, and they feel comfortable with your explanation is good. Now, during COVID duty, there must be certain things which were very difficult for you. Do you remember any such thing which was extremely difficult for you?
In the ICU setting, difficult things were, see, you're wearing a PPE, so even doing the normal task which you were doing before in the ICU becomes
Mm-hmm.
troublesome. Like
Mm-hmm.
intubating wearing a PPE was really tough. I
Mm-hmm.
remember sweating in like 43 or 44 degrees Celsius while intubating patients and then getting exhausted. Like I had to go out of the ICU after intubating two patients and then drink water and come back.
Mm. It's
So
very very tough in this heat to continuously wear that PPE kit and go about your work. You know that PPE kit is the only thing that is saving you. So you need to be very careful. At the same time, that heat and that exhaustion takes over. That becomes very difficult. Now, during this pandemic, um, there was a lot of loss of patience. How did you cope with this loss?
especially during the second wave, the death rate exponentially increased.
Mm-hmm.
That is what I observed personally.
Mm-hmm.
And it was really tough to go every day, report to your duties, and then just see how many patients you lost in the previous 24 hours.
Mm-hmm.
It is
Because
actually,
being in medicine, you treat patients become okay. You always see them, and one or two patient does come who are aged, and you're not going, this patient is not going to make it, and then still you try, you keep on trying, and then you lose the patient. But here I think so things happen very swiftly. And second wave, it was what was the kind of patients you all lost in the second wave?
unexpectedly, we lost some patients who were young. We lost patients who were doing fine a few days back. See,
Mm-hmm.
usually we expect patients on the ventilator to actually not make it. But
Mm-hmm.
then when you lose a patient who was on just room air or on oxygen or day back, and who was
Mm-hmm.
young, of your age, your same age, and you
Mm-hmm.
see him not make it, that is when you realize that okay, this disease means serious business.
Mm.
Not an easy battle to win.
When? Mm-hmm. Do you remember any particular case or any particular incident which basically, somewhere down you felt very upset watching it?
Yeah, actually, under me there were two patients. They were relatives, father and son.
Mm-hmm.
So they have the same surname, obviously. So One of them was shifted in the ICU. That is the message I got in the night that he's not maintaining saturation. The patient is being sent to the MICU and he was intubated. And I found it to be the older patient, the patient who was
The
above 60
father.
years. The father. It was actually the son. It was actually a 28-year-old. So that is when I actually got shocked in the morning because I actually never expected that a person who's so young will actually get a severe complication of COVID-19. You always think that the people with comorbidities, the people who are elderly, they are more prone to get complications out of it. But then we will some unexpected young patients with no prior comorbidities who get respiratory illness.
So this comes as a huge shock to you all because as a doctor, okay, this patient is progressing, this patient is fine, but suddenly overnight everything changes, and sometimes you lose those patients, and it is very difficult as a young boy that you are. Though you are a doctor, but as a young person, to see someone similar to your age having this disease and passing away in front of your eyes, where you are helpless, you can't do anything. You can be a doctor, you can't be God. You just can't be God. You can just be a doctor, you can try your best, you can give all the medicines, all the care, everything that is needed, but you can't be God. This is a very, very tough situation. Many people outside, they don't understand this, that doctors don't like to lose patients, because losing patient is like losing a battle. You try to win every battle, you try your level best to win every battle, but then unfortunately there are many battles you had to lose in this situation, which is very, very tough. See, now the cases are less. We are all expecting that there will be a third wave. What is the variety in this third wave that you all are expecting?
The Delta Plus variant, which has recently been discovered, is actually more infectious than the previous variant, and the symptoms have somewhat changed.
Okay.
Running nose and upper respiratory tract infection, upper respiratory tract symptoms are now more common in COVID-19. Earlier, we used to get a patient with running nose, we used to think, okay, this is not COVID. But now, even that is a change. There is a change in the symptoms, there is a change in the infectivity. So, we need to be doubly careful rather than having this casual attitude that, okay, the cases have gone down. Because the third wave, I will say, rather than the virus, we will bring the third wave. Because of our casual attitude. We need to be vaccinated, we need to wear masks, we need to practice social distancing properly.
So the people out there, please pay heed to what he is saying. Doctors are there, hospital is there, medicine is there, but your safety is in your hand. Because if you are infected with the new variety, then again this is a new disease that is coming up. Again, doctors can do their best, but there is no guarantee. I know the recovery rate is good, but we don't want to lose any patient. So even though the whole scenario is looking better today, cases are coming down, please take precaution. Mask is essential. And if you have heard the last episode that I have done with Mr. Shukumar Rai, he has said that you have to wear mask. You have to. That is the first thing you need to do. Get yourself vaccinated and make sure that you are not in a crowd. Make sure you don't go, because most of the things are available online now. We can prevent ourselves from going. There are many social events. It is okay if you don't go, because in a social event, if you go and spread and people die, maybe you are not, but some other person might get infected and they are dying. That's not a good case scenario. Maybe when everything gets over and this COVID situation is out of our country, we have successfully defeated it. After that, we can go and celebrate n number of occasions. It will not matter. We can go and celebrate. But today, we need to be cautious. Today, we need to take precaution. We need to make sure that we don't depend only on the hospital and doctor. We depend on ourselves to make sure that we are safe. We need to be safe. Okay. Now, so all this heavy, we have spoken about Corona. So let me ask you some fun stuff. Silliest question asked about Corona.
Silliest question that I ever received was whether if the vaccine, like if we take the vaccine, does it cause menorrhagia?
Yeah. Like why did people? Okay, but
Totally
people
unrelated.
not related, but they have asked you. Okay. Now tell me any funny incident that you had during this pandemic.
Actually, I remember one incident in particular. When I was posted in my COVID ward, I got a call from my patient's wife. He was a 58-year-old male, and his wife was complaining that he's not picking any calls since 24 hours, and we're very worried. If he's doing okay, please go and check on him. Nobody's telling me anything about him. We are unable to trace him. And she was very, very worried. And I also got worried listening to her. I went to see the patient, and he was sleeping peacefully. So I asked him, "Baba, क्या हुआ? फोन क्यों नहीं उठा रहे घर का?" तो बोले, घर पे नहीं रहना था इसलिए तो भर्ती हुआ मैं। तो बात ही नहीं करना।
He didn't want to speak. He didn't want to speak. Other people were getting worried on his behalf, and he didn't want to speak. That was really funny. Yeah, during all those tension filled days, certain incidents make your mood lighter. What do you think? What makes you a good doctor? What are those skills that are necessary for being a good doctor?
I think for being a good doctor, the best thing that you should have is keeping the interest of the patient above everything else. So, even in the COVID scenario, we have always done that. We have always cared about the patients above ourselves. We have not cared about ourselves, our families. We have not cared about our own health. We have gone inside an infectious disease ward, and we have fought the battle on the front line. So that is what being a doctor is all about. Your patients always come first.
Patient always comes first. Okay. Now, what did your parents tell you after you have done the duty and you talk to them? What did they tell you? How proud they are of you?
They're actually very proud because even they never thought that such a pandemic will be coming. Obviously, they never even imagined. And to see me going inside the COVID ward and seeing COVID patients every day, they really thought that, okay, our son is really brave and he's battling the pandemic on the front line, and we are proud of him. That is what they think of me right now. So it gives me a great amount of pleasure that I could serve my patients during this difficult time.
You can serve and you can make your parents so proud. Because, for a parent, a child, even you are grown up and even when you are married and have kids also, you will always remain a child to them. And when a child goes into, of course, they are very worried. They will never tell you, but they are very worried. Every time you step into that ICU, every time you ring up and tell them that I'm going for my COVID duty, they will never stop you. But when you successfully do that and come, they'll feel very proud of you that yes, our son is serving the nation when it is most needed. And that is what that will make them very, very proud. Now, one last question. What will you do when the pandemic is over? There's many restrictions during this pandemic. We have started, we never knew how much we started valuing going meeting friends and watching a movie, eating outside, all those simple things which we always took it for granted, always thought we can go and do. Today, they are very valuable. What are you planning to do once the pandemic is over?
I would like to go on a big vacation with my parents. actually want to take me on a vacation, but obviously due to residency, I cannot go right now, and obviously because of COVID-19 restrictions, it's not possible. But definitely, when the pandemic ends, I want to go on a big vacation with them, and I want to spend a lot of time with my parents.
Do you feel that after the pandemic, your connection with your parents have grown stronger?
Yes, definitely. Definitely, it has become stronger because not being able to meet them for so many months at a stretch, and then at the same time battling COVID-19 and informing them everything on calls that okay, I saw this patient today, I saw that patient today, he had these symptoms. I never realized that they will think of my calls in a separate way. That obviously they will be worried that yeah, fine, he's going inside, fine, he's treating patients, but what if he gets the COVID-19 infection? So it has actually brought us closer, and I actually uh, value this relationship much more now.
You value this relationship, and did it change how you look at MD medicine now?
No, I can't hear you.
Did it change at how you look at MD medicine now? Like when you came and joined, you wanted to do MD medicine. Did anything change in you?
Yes, definitely my respect for this field of medicine has increased because I've seen my co-JRs, my seniors, my professors, everyone battling this disease on the front line without a second thought, keeping themselves on the front line and participating the maximum in this pandemic. So it actually increased my respect for medicine, and it actually made me think that yes, I have made the right choice by entering this field.
So when the pandemic hit, there was a element of surprise that what is this? Then it engulfed. Everyone was frightened. Then you all rose to the occasion, fought it, had many setbacks. You saw people dying. It hurt you. But again, you came back the next day to serve those people who are still in that ICU. Your parents were worried about you, but today you value that relationship more. When you entered MD medicine, you wanted to do this, but today you know your responsibility. You know how much more you can do to serve the people. And this is one thing that has made your PG life much, much more special. I don't think so anyone else will ever face this. Hope so. Hope that no one else have to face this, and we also come out of this situation very soon. Let the third wave be very small, and let all the people take due precaution with masks, with vaccines, with social distancing, and make sure that we don't lose any more lives. Thank you. Thank you so much, Dhruv, for this wonderful interview, to letting us get a peek of what y'all are facing from the outside when no one was even ready to talk about COVID, and they were frightened about COVID. You had stepped inside. Your teachers had guided you. They all were frontline workers. And all over India, we have lost many doctors we have lost to this COVID. So, hats off to you, hats off to the profession that you are in and the subject that you are doing. Wish you all the best, and bye bye. Take care. Those who have come to the end of this episode, do not forget to hit that like button. Subscribe to my channel if you are new, and ring that bell icon if you want to be notified every time I'm bringing something new, some new insight with some interesting people around. Bye bye. Take care.